Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I speak today in opposition to the amendment which aims to make the provision of home abortion pills a permanent part of the law. When the decision was taken to allow women to carry out their own abortions at home for the first time, we were told it was purely time-limited, emergency approval, similar to all other emergency approvals. 2 years on, the Government has lifted remaining pandemic restrictions, including the temporary at-home abortion policy, specifically by allowing 6 months for providers to prepare. It is sad and concerning that the other place has amended this bill to frustrate the Government's decision and so seek to block the revocation of the temporary change. Indeed, the changes introduced to allow abortions at home were introduced without parliamentary scrutiny or public consultation. Now that we have evidence about how it works in practice, we know that the policy presents huge risks to women's health and safety. Since this policy has been in place, the media has reported several heartbreaking stories of women who were traumatised by their experience of at-home abortion, and sadly we learned of another just this morning. As reported by the BBC today, 16-year-old Savannah received abortion pills far beyond the safe and legal 10-week gestational limit. She disclosed that during her phone consultation, the abortion provider calculated that she was less than 8 weeks pregnant, so she went to BPAS clinic to collect abortion pills. She was not scanned or examined. As the BBC reports, upon taking the second pill, she began to experience, in her words, really bad pain. She shared, "My relative called another ambulance because when I was pushing, my boyfriend could see feet." Members, this baby was born with a heartbeat. They were both taken to hospital, where she was found to have been between 20 and 21 weeks pregnant. Unsurprisingly, Savannah said she has been left traumatised, and that if they would have scanned her to determine her gestation, she would have had him. Savannah's story should make us all pause and consider what this policy actually means. And perhaps it would be different if her story was an anomaly, but it's not. Tragically, delivery of near-viable or viable infants from a failed medical abortion are more common than abortion advocates would care to admit. Early on in the pandemic, just weeks after this policy was approved, a leaked urgent email sent by an NHS regional chief midwife quoted the escalating risk around at-home abortions and cited the delivery of infants up to 30 weeks gestation. Similar reports have been made by the body that compromises all senior NHS doctors and nurses who fulfil statutory child safeguarding functions in the NHS, the National Network of Designated Healthcare Professionals. Specifically, they have recorded 47 cases of early medical abortions that resulted in mid to late pregnancy terminations across all ages since the start of the pandemic in March 2020. 6 involved girls, and in half of those cases, and 12 instances in total, there had been signs of life. I find it very interesting that, as reported by the BBC, those in favour of at-home abortions, such as abortion providers BPAS, who are usually all too ready to comment on abortion, could not comment on these cases, perhaps because they know the individual cases matter and there is truly no excuse for allowing these tragedies to occur. Women and girls deserve better. Today we have the opportunity to champion women and girls everywhere and ensure these scenarios, which are so easy to avoid, are prevented. Women simply need to be seen in person prior to receiving abortion pills, especially young people and vulnerable women up to 25. As it stands, abortion providers are unable to guarantee they know who takes the pills, when or where they're taken, or whether an adult is present, given the risk of complications such as the delivery of live babies. Indeed, a Sky News documentary found that 96 women every week, 14 each day, who have at-home abortions will suffer complications that may need followed-up treatment or surgery. In summing up, Mr Deputy Speaker, we owe Savannah and her child, and indeed all women and girls, better than this. Abortion harms the voiceless, the most vulnerable in our society, and it harms women and girls. This government has rightly prioritised the safety of women and girls, and therefore I urge honourable members to look at the risks posed for continuing this policy and to do the right thing by voting to end at-home abortion.